Hey, buddy, what's up? It's Monday. So, given the events of last couple weeks, mainly the presidential debate and the vice presidential debate, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I feel like a president should do. And the reason I feel like this is important is because every time I see a president talk, or especially whenever I see somebody complain about a president, it reminds me of a quote from Obama. And I don't remember the exact quote, but basically, this to summarize it, it was that if you really want to affect change, vote in local elections. And it was put in the context of that the the president of the United States doesn't really affect most people's day-to-day life. So in context, I started thinking about like how much has Donald Trump, who's been president for the last 4 years, President Trump, how much has he affected my day-to-day life, and what has he done to personally affect me? So he did a little bit with tax policy. The two notable events are the when he changed the tax policy around. So for most people, they paid slightly less in taxes, but they also got less back during their refunds. Now, on paper, this is actually a very good thing because theoretically, you should never pay the government anything extra because what they're doing is they're getting an interest-free loan from you. They're getting money from you. They get to do whatever they want with it for a certain amount of time, and they give it back to you. Now, if you think of this on the scales of millions of people doing it, that's quite a good amount of money that the government gets, and they get to collect interest off of it, and then they pay you back. So it's not the best system, and I'm not a fan of that. So he reduced the amount you give the government, but they also reduced the amount the government gives back to you. So it's a wash, but it makes sense on paper and mathematically. But the thing is that a lot of people like to get the big lump sum, and they spend it on something crazy or stupid. So the thing is, I think it was a good idea, and I think it works out on paper, but some people just complained about it. The other tax policy he did was just recently. In fact, we're in the middle of it right now, where you don't have to pay payroll tax, which is an extra 6.2%, except for the fact that you don't actually get to keep that. You have to pay twice as much back in your payroll tax starting January, February, March, and April, which means that you'll be paying 12.4% back. So that's like the government's giving you an interest-free loan, but they're going to get their money back. And then he made a comment about how if he gets elected, he'll just waive the entire thing. So we'll see if that happens. The reason I bring this up is because I have a firm belief that the President of the United States shouldn't really be doing much domestically. The President of the United States mainly is the highest ranking official from the United States to represent the United States as a whole. So President Donald Trump, when he goes meets with other leaders and stuff, that's a reflection upon us, the United States. It's like sending a representative on your behalf. The President of the United States should also be in charge of international treaties and legislation on that thing, like trade rules and stuff like that, because each state can't be undercutting each other, so you need to go into like a mass negotiation for that, and I understand that. And the third thing is national defense. The President of the United States is the highest ranking official in the U.S. military, and by doing so, he gets to command the U.S. military and foreign policy that it dictates. And that's mainly the main things I think the president of the United States should be responsible for. Otherwise, I don't think the president should affect your day-to-day life. In fact, even when I go home to Philadelphia, my family in Philly, they complain about like local issues. Now, I don't really think I complain about local issues, and your mother doesn't either. And that has less to do with us caring and more the fact that we just don't live in an area long enough to really become attached to anything. Like in Philadelphia, when you grow up there your entire life and suddenly there's a tax on beverages, it's a big deal because you grew up there your entire life. For me, if Virginia Beach was suddenly to start like a tax on soda, I'd be like, oh, well, that kind of is bad, but what do I care? I'm going to move in 2 years or 3 years or whatever, whatever rotation we're on. So, it's just, I don't care as much about local issues as I think I should. But local issues are the ones who dictate the schools. That's the one who dictate our local taxes, which is about 50% of our tax burden usually. The things I complain about most about Virginia, like there being an income tax there and there being a tax on my car I have to pay every year, those are all state issues. The president has nothing to do with that. So like my votes should go for that. But the thing is that I don't even pay attention to who's running for the state legislature because I'm never in a state long enough to really be affected by it, or at least not in my mind. I mean, obviously, I should be doing my part. Like, these are all things I should be doing. I just don't. Then the final thought on the president and the amount of power they have is everything still has to go through Congress. It has to go through the Supreme Court. And yes, the president can stack the Supreme Court, which is what people are all screaming about now. And that has happened before, but normally it doesn't happen. Like, in my experience, always trust in the Supreme Court, regardless of whether they're conservative or liberal or not. They tend to be fair. So just try to keep that in mind. So anyway, buddy, I say all this because I just want to point out that regardless of which one of the lovely individuals, after the last debate anyway, lovely individuals gets elected, neither of them is going to affect your life, my life, or your mom's life all that much. It's just not what a president does. They're mostly for international stuff. Congress affects our day-to-day life the most. And as them being representatives from the area of the people, it kind of makes sense for that. And I think as Americans, we need to stop thinking of the president as somebody who's supposed to be doing something domestically. They're probably best just staying international and worrying about international stuff, and let the states, let the cities, and let the Congress handle the domestic stuff. Well, anyway, buddy, let me know if you agree with me or not. These are all just my theories. This is what I think, not anything that's 100% true. So I definitely want to hear your opinion on it. Anyway, buddy, I love you. I miss you. I'm proud of you. And stay awesome.